Hello everyone, it's Appleminte and welcome back again to my channel. Have you ever gone to the store and you see something and you're like, people who buy that are pretty crazy. Who would buy that? And then you end up buying it. I bought a lawn flamingo, hey. And then I was told that I'm not allowed to put this on my front lawn. So guess what? New friend. We don't need the sticks. I am an adult. Anyway, for today's video, as the title says, I am finally reviewing Ohuhu markers. Woohoo! I'm really excited to test these out. I've heard so many good things. Now, Ohuhu markers do not have a brush nib like Copic's, and if you guys are curious, yes, this is the glorious brush nibs. Ohuhu do not have that, although I've heard rumors that they're coming in 2019, and if they are, you know I'm gonna buy those immediately. Anyway, I've purchased the 80 set of Ohuhu markers. They have a 120 set and a 40 set. I went right in the middle because I figure that's a good amount of colors. These are a heck of a lot more affordable than Copic markers. I'll break down all of the costs, all of the pros and cons as we go throughout the video. So let's just get into it because I'm sure you want to hear my opinion and you want to see how these work. This is going to be my opinion on it. And if you want to watch this video, stick around, and I hope you stick around because I want you to watch this video because I worked really hard on it. Anyway, let's get into the rest of the video. You gotta love when you paint your nails and you do them all nice and then one of them gets smudged right in the middle. Anyway, I'm really excited to open these up. Ooh, okay, what's this? So this looks like some information. If anything is wrong with your markers, they'll replace them. That gives me the vibe that they're very confident in their product. Yes, okay, who else is like me and just loves looking at all the colors? So, all right, did mine break? Okay, so this is just something to put behind your papers while you're coloring so that you don't accidentally bleed through. And I think there's one more thing in here. Okay, so it seems like they've included a swatch of all the colors for us. However, I don't know how accurate this is going to be. I'd rather do my own swatches personally just because these have been printed on here. These might not be as accurate as the actual colors are. So let's just start looking at some of these markers, shall we? So I'm gonna start by doing some swatches of some of these colors here, and we're gonna see how they blend. So I picked out 3 Ohuhu colors. They're all pretty similar, and I mean 86, 85, and 1. I know those are kind of in a weird order, but they look pretty similar, so we're gonna start with those. So I'm gonna use this chisel nib first. So pretty. That's actually really pretty. I really like when you can't see any of the streaks. Oh, I'm so sorry for this sound. Okay, they do kind of have a slight odor to them. Like Copic's I'm used to. Yeah, Copic's definitely have a scent as well, but this is like a different smell. Neither of them are terrible. Like they're not really noticeable when you're using them, but don't sniff your markers, kids. So these are Ohuhu. So it like gets a pretty nice point, except I mean this is about the thinnest I can go with the tip of this. So here's a Copic marker. I'm just going to use it right over here. I guess I'll do this one down here and going to swatch that. So yeah, that's also very smooth, and the nice thing about the brush here, I can get much thinner lines and like smaller lines if I want, but these are still pretty good. Honestly, they're both pretty similar right now. The saturation of the ink for both of these is comparable. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell. If you told me this was Copic ink, I'd believe you. I am liking what I'm seeing so far, but now the test is going to be whether it blends. And we'll go right into this one. And actually, I do have another shade for Ohuhu that is kind of an in-between of these two colors. So that would be 85. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good to me. It's getting a fade. You do need to work with it a bit differently than you would with a Copic marker, but honestly, now that this has dried down, it looks very good. I am going to predict that any kind of discrepancy might just be because of the range of colors. I'm gonna keep that in mind, but overall, this looks really good. That's a pretty nice blend right there, and so is that. I mean, they're pretty similar. Like I said, if you told me that was Copic, I'd believe you, so let's just get straight into creating some artwork with these. and I want to see the true test of how they hold up against each other. But so far, Ohuhu is very promising. So let's get into the coloring. So real quick before I go into the actual pros and cons of the Ohuhu markers, what I am coloring in is a drawing that I created in Procreate based off one of the enemies in Kingdom Hearts 3. It's not an exact image of that character, but it's one of the enemies, and I just was inspired by it, so I printed it out twice onto marker paper. That way I didn't have to ink it multiple times, so this just makes my life easier. So for the cons, I guess I'll start with the bad first, and then we'll go into the good. Spoiler alert, there's more good than bad for these Ohuhu markers. The first con, I would say, is the bullet nib. This can go either way. Personally, I really like the brush nib, and that also tends to be the general consensus and opinion on it. Brush nibs are just easier to blend with. However, the bullet nib is not bad at all. It is definitely workable with. It just doesn't cover as wide of an area as the brush nib does. Obviously, the bullet nib is a lot smaller, and sometimes it can get a little difficult doing those fine details like you saw before when I was doing some of the swatches. The second thing I will say is that they are not refillable, which some people might not care about that. For me, since I create a lot of artwork and I post a lot of it on YouTube and I'm always creating things, I prefer my markers to be refillable just because I'd like to save more money when I can. And with Copic markers, I buy refills for the colors that I like, and then, it's about, I think, 8 to 10 more full marker refills I get out of a single refill for my markers. So, and it's only like $5 for that refill. So that is definitely a big pro with Copics, whereas Ohuhu does not have that. However, since these markers are so cheap, they can be replaced more easily. But something that might, if you just have one color you want to replace, not your entire set, this is where con number 3 comes in, which is you cannot buy individual colors. You have to buy them in sets. I don't know if this is going to change in the future, but for now, you can only buy the Ohuhu markers in a set. I got mine on Amazon. I'm not sure where else they're sold, if they're sold anywhere else, but yeah, you have to buy them either in, I think, the 40 set, 80 set, 120 set. So that could be a con for you, but like I said, since they are so cheap, you might not care about that as much and just wait until most of your markers have run out and dried out, and then you want to buy another refill or another set. That would be up to you. I'm going to point out that they're not light fast. However, I'm not going to put this on the con list just because no alcohol markers are light fast, not even Copics. And just a brief recap on what light fast means is that it basically describes how well your artwork or your art supplies will last over time in terms of their saturation and their color. For example, if you do a piece of artwork, with any alcohol ink markers, since they're not light fast, if you were to leave them in direct sunlight or in sunlight for a long time, over months, years, they will begin to fade a bit. So if you had light fast art supplies, that won't happen. But because that is true for both Copic and Ohuhu and all alcohol markers, that is not on the con list. That wouldn't be fair. Now into the pros. These are definitely blendable. As you can see, it looks pretty good on the left side here that I'm doing with Ohuhu. I don't think it looks bad. And like I said, it's a little bit more difficult to blend with the bullet nib than it is with the brush nib, but it's definitely doable. You just have to work the ink a little bit more, but it's good. The blending was good, like you saw before in the swatches as well. It looks good. And the ink is also very pigmented and saturated. And you might see a color difference between these two drawings. Like I said before, that discrepancy might be due to the fact that I don't have the exact same colors in each. Like a lot of my blues in Copic, some of them are a little bit more muted compared to the blues I had in Ohuhu. So that might be a difference there. However, the colors for Ohuhu definitely are very bright and pigmented. So I didn't feel like I had any, dull ink, because you can feel it sometimes with different markers. But overall, the ink quality was very nice. The biggest pro on these markers, you guys probably assumed this already, but they are cheap. $40 for this 80 set of markers. And I think the 40 set is like $20. So doing the math, that's about 50 cents a marker. That is amazing. So definitely not a huge investment, and it's great for somebody who just wants to try out some alcohol ink markers, see if it's something they want to get into, and then maybe one day, if they want to invest more in a more expensive brand, like Copic that has the refills, the brushes, and all that, and a bigger range of colors, then you might go for that. So this is definitely a great gateway into markers, or for somebody who, maybe you just want more colors. Another thing is that they do have a decent color range. While Copic has a bigger color range, I think around 360 colors, something around there total. This for a brush marker, or a nib marker, wow, I can't speak, a bullet nib marker brand, one of these other alcohol ink based marker brands, has a very good range. It's 120 markers, at least right now. Who knows if they'll add extra colors, but that's a pretty decent range. I've seen other marker brands that only do up to 70 colors, only do up to 60 colors, so this is pretty nice. And I didn't feel like there were too many grays or too many doubles of colors in my set, so that was good. And then the last pro is the customer service. Like I showed you before, that card says it all. They're willing to replace it. They're very confident in their product. So I think that's definitely another plus. So overall, these are my 2 marker comparisons. The Ohuhu is on the left. The Copic is on the right. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But overall, you can see that obviously they're a little different. And like I said, the saturation is a little darker on the left side just because I had darker blues. But and the blending is slightly different in these, so it's up to you which one you like better. Definitely easier to blend with a brush nib with Copic, but it's not like you can't do it with the Ohuhus. They are very blendable as well. So that's my finished product. And now we are going into my final thoughts. So guys, that is the marker comparison between the 2 types of markers. You guys can make the judgment on which one you like better. If I have to give my honest opinion, Ohuhu markers held up really, really well against Copic's. Obviously, there was no brush nib, so that affects the blending a little bit, but if they get a brush nib, Ohuhu markers are gonna be up there, honestly, because they worked really, really well. I'm really surprised, and they're so much cheaper than Copic's. I got an 80 set for 40 bucks. That's like 50 cents a marker. That's crazy. So my final verdict is that I would definitely recommend these markers to anybody who is either starting out and doesn't want to, spend too much money on a pack of markers. They just want something that will kickstart their marker adventure, or somebody who just wants to add more colors to their collection but doesn't want to spend a ton of money. And I'm definitely going to be using these alongside my Copic markers in my artwork, so I'm really excited to have these, honestly. Anyway, if you liked today's video, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know which one you liked better, the Copic illustration or the Ohuhu illustration. Also, as always, I have all of my links in the description box below. I have the link to my online store, which has all of my prints, my charms, my pins, everything like that. I've also got the link to my Instagram if you'd like to follow me and see artwork that I don't always post here on YouTube, and I just make... Are you kidding me right now? This is like the 3rd video in a row. I swear, somebody's calling. They know I'm filming, and they're calling on purpose. They're doing this on purpose, and then they're hanging up. It's okay. Why? Why me? All right. Well, now they hung up. Okay, I gotta hurry now with my little spiel before the phone rings again, apparently. I got my online shop, link below. Go check that out. I've got my Instagram, also linked below. Go check it out. And I've got my Amino, which is a free app. You can go and download it for free and join the appleminte Amino. You can join and share your artwork and meet people and chat. And okay, that's my spiel. Anyway, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I post every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I will see you guys all next week, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Bye bye.